This happened a few weeks ago. I'm 34 and had just taken a job at a military base deep in the forest. I needed work to support my family. It felt like a good opportunity, but I quickly realized this place felt different. On my first night, as I tried to settle in, I heard distant voices. It sounded like a group of people talking. There were strange thudding noises too, echoing through the barracks. I thought it was just military exercises and tried to sleep. But the noises didn't fade. Over the next weeks, odd things started happening. Tools went missing, and I overheard my coworkers whispering about shadowy figures in the trees. I didn't want to believe them. I thought they were just tired. But it didn't take long for me to feel the tension in the air. It was thick, like something was waiting to happen. One evening, I walked back to my room after a long shift. I felt uneasy, like someone was watching me. I stopped and turned around, but there was nothing there. My heart raced as I went inside. That night, I couldn't sleep. The noises returned, closer this time, right outside. I wondered what was happening. The next day, I spoke to a couple of other contractors. They shared stories about the base. One of them mentioned a soldier who had disappeared a few years ago. No one could explain it. My stomach dropped. I thought about all the missing tools and shadowy figures. Maybe it wasn't just stories. The following week, I finally saw something I couldn't explain. I stepped outside during my break. Just then, I saw a figure darting into the trees. My stomach dropped again. I blinked, and it was gone. I ran back inside, my heart pounding. My mind told me I was imagining things, but the feeling wouldn't leave. Things got worse. Another contractor vanished without a trace. Panic set in. I didn't know how to process it. Were they really gone? My coworkers began to act strange too. I felt paranoid. What was happening here? Did something dark linger within these walls? That same night, I was jolted awake by a voice outside my window. It whispered my name. Jack, it said, familiar yet chilling. I felt frozen. I leaned closer to the window, but saw nothing. Just shadows and trees. Maybe I was losing it, but something wasn't right. Then, one night, I heard the voice again. Jack, it echoed. I shivered in fear. I got up and looked outside, but only darkness stared back at me. My heart raced. It was too much. I tried to shake it off, but dread settled in. The worst came when I caught a glimpse of something behind the barracks. It was dark, and I couldn't make it out. I felt my pulse quicken. Whatever it was, I knew it was watching. I didn't know what to do. I felt trapped in a nightmare I couldn't escape. Something wasn't right at this base, and I couldn't shake that feeling. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard whispers in the dark. I never stopped thinking about it. Whatever was out there is still watching, waiting. The next day, I couldn't focus on my work. The memories of those whispers and shadowy figures swam in my mind. I had to talk to someone, to unload this weight. During lunch, I sat with a couple of coworkers, trying to act normal. Have you heard anything about the stories? I finally asked. Their eyes darted around before settling back on me, cautious. Stories? One of them asked, feigning ignorance. What stories? About the soldier who vanished, I pressed, desperation creeping into my voice. And, all the odd stuff happening around here. They exchanged glances, and it made my stomach churn. Finally, one of them leaned in close. You shouldn't dig too deep, man. Some things are better left alone. What do you mean? I pushed back, my heart racing. I didn't like their evasiveness. They hesitated, and the silence stretched awkwardly. Just things happen. Things you can't explain, said the other, voice low. That night, I decided to take a walk around the base after my shift ended. The air was thick with uncertainty as I stepped outside. The barracks loomed around me, shadowy and ominous. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming. That I trudged toward the edge of the woods, where I had seen that figure. The night felt alive with whispers, and I could swear I caught fragments of my name in the murmur. "Jack, come find us," I froze. The voice was stronger now, clearer. I felt a pull, as if I was being beckoned deeper into the trees. Against my better judgment, I stepped closer to the tree line. The branches swayed eerily, casting long, claw-like shadows under the moonlight. I glanced back at the barracks, feeling the urge to run. But curiosity gripped me, that's when I saw it. A glimmer between the trees caught my eye. I moved closer, and as I did, a chill raced down my spine. In that small clearing, I found a rusted military ID tag half buried in the mud. It read Private Mark Thompson. My breath caught in my throat. The soldier who disappeared. Just then, I heard a crack behind me. I whipped around, heart pummeling in my chest. Something was there, hidden within the trees. My gut told me to flee, but a part of me felt anchored, rooted. Then everything went dark. The lights from the barracks flickered and died, swallowed by the night. Panic surged as I stumbled back, looking for any sign of life. The whispers grew louder, and the figure I thought had disappeared materialized just beyond my reach. It was cloaked in shadows, featureless yet horrifyingly real. Jack, it floated softly toward me. I turned and bolted. I didn't look back. My legs burned with effort as I ran through the dark, my breath ragged. Whatever had called me, I wasn't willing to find out. Outside, the world felt alive, but not in a good way. There was more here than I could ever understand. As I reached the barracks, I slammed the door shut behind me. My mind raced, and still, the whispers echoed. I had to get to the bottom of this. But at what cost? I lay in my bunk, staring at the ceiling, the whispers still fresh in my mind. Sleep felt impossible. My heart raced with the memories of the figure and the rusted ID tag. I needed answers, but I also needed to keep my sanity. Something wasn't right. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The next morning, I met up with Alex, a fellow soldier who had been stationed here for years. He was a no-nonsense guy, but he had a reputation for being a good listener. I figured it was time to trust someone. "Hey, do you have a minute?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Sure, what's up?" he replied, eyebrow raised. "I heard something strange last night. I found an ID tag in the woods. It belonged to a soldier who went missing. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?" His expression changed in an instant. The relaxed demeanor dissolved, replaced by a serious look. "You need to drop this, Jack. I mean it. Some things are better left buried." "Why?" I pressed, my frustration bubbling up. "What happened? Why does everyone act like this?" Alex glanced around, ensuring no one was listening. He leaned in closer. "The stories aren't just folklore. People disappear. Sometimes they come back. But it's never the same. They say it changes you. The woods, they have a way of pulling things into them." I felt the blood drain from my face. "What do you mean?" He pinched the bridge of his nose. "It's hard to explain. Just stay away from the edges of the woods. You don't know what you're dealing with." Before I could respond, he walked away. I stood there, baffled. Why were they all so afraid? The mention of the woods stirred a mix of fear and curiosity in me, but I couldn't afford to let it consume me. I had to focus on my duties. That afternoon, I met up with a few guys from my unit. We often grabbed drinks after hours. As we sat around a table, I brought up the talk about disappearances just to gauge their reactions. "Yeah, everyone knows about Mark Thompson," one of them said dismissively. "He just lost it one day. Went off into the woods and never came back. People said he was different before that, not like he used to be." "What do you mean?" Just something felt off about him. Like he was being pulled away. You know how it is, he shrugged, dismissing it as if it was just another story that I couldn't shake that sinking feeling. What really happened to Thompson? Had he changed? My thoughts were interrupted by the sound of the barracks door slamming shut. A chill ran down my spine as I remembered the cold figure that had appeared in the woods. As evening fell, I felt restless. I stepped outside, looking toward the trees. In the gathering darkness, the shadows seemed to twist and shift. I thought I saw a fleeting figure dart between the trunks. My heart raced again. Was I really seeing things, or was there something out there? Then I heard it. A faint whisper, calling my name. Jack, come back. I took a quick step back, fear overtaking the curiosity I had felt before. Whatever it was, it clearly wanted to draw me in, but I was done. I had to stay away from the edge. But in the depths of my mind, I still felt the unease clawing at me. I didn't just want to know what was happening, I needed to escape it. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wouldn't be able to. The next day, I pushed myself to focus. I had chores and responsibilities that needed attention, yet every so often, my thoughts slipped back to the woods. I'd glance outside, expecting to see that figure lingering between the trees. It was maddening. During lunch, I decided to casually bring up the topic again with a few other soldiers. Perhaps I could piece together more of the puzzle. Anyone else remember Mark Thompson? You think he just lost his mind? They exchanged uneasy glances. Lost his mind? It was more than that, one of them said, lowering his voice. He went into the woods, right? But he wasn't the same when he came back. Not at all. What do you mean? I pressed. Just he would stare off into space. They say he was hearing things, seeing things. I don't know if it was true, but after a while, he just stopped talking to anyone. A chill crept up my spine as I sipped my drink. I wanted to dismiss this as gossip, but the way he spoke, the fear in his eyes, made it feel real. After lunch, I couldn't shake the need to know what happened. I made my way toward the edge of the woods during my break. Standing there, I could feel a weight pressing down on me, the trees towering like watchful giants. The whispers of the leaves rustled in the cool breeze, almost beckoning me closer. I had to fight the urge to venture deeper. Suddenly, I heard snapping twigs behind me. My heart kicked up a notch. I turned, expecting to see a fellow soldier, but instead, there was nothing but the open air. It rattled me, and I couldn't tell if it was my imagination or something more sinister lurking just out of sight. Then, out of nowhere, I caught a glimpse of movement, a shadow darting between the trees. Panic gripped me, and I quickly looked away. That whisper echoed in my mind, a siren song pulling me to the unknown. I needed to leave. That I hurried back inside, my heart racing. In my head, I replayed what Alex said about the woods changing people. What had happened to Thompson might be happening to me, too. I couldn't let it. I had to keep myself grounded. Later that night, as I tried to sleep, I heard it again, the whisper, softer now, almost intimate. Jack, come back. Sitting up, I scanned my room, but everything was still. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to block it out. Then came a soft tapping at my window. My stomach dropped. I crept out of bed and inched toward the window. Moonlight streamed through the glass, illuminating the trees outside. I was terrified, but curiosity clawed at me. That's when I saw it. Among the dark trunks, there stood a figure. Not just a shadow now, this was distinctly human in shape, and it was looking right at me with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. Come back, it breathed, the voice chillingly familiar. I staggered back, heart pounding in my chest. I had to move. I couldn't let it pull me in. But before I could turn away, the figure took a step closer. With that dreadful moment lingering in my mind, I fled back to my bed, my breaths ragged and rapid. The woods were not done with me yet, and I knew I had only scratched the surface of whatever horror lay beneath those trees. The next morning, every sound felt amplified. The creaks of the barracks echoed in my ears, and I struggled to shake off the remnants of the nightmare. I kept replaying the figure at my window, the familiar voice calling me back. I couldn't afford to dwell on it. I had duties to fulfill. During morning roll call, I spotted Alex. I hesitated, then approached him. "Hey, have you heard anything about Mark Thompson lately? I can't stop thinking about him." Alex frowned. "I thought that was a closed chapter. Why bring it up again?" I feel like it's connected to what happened to me last night. I think I might be losing my mind, too." He studied me for a moment. "You're not the only one feeling uneasy. A few guys have mentioned odd noises coming from the woods late at night. Shadows, figures." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean, figures?" "Just what I said. People see things out there. Sometimes they think it's someone they know. But it's not, they usually vanish before you can get close." That was it. My curiosity morphed into dread. I couldn't ignore the urge to dig deeper. After work, I returned to the woods, but this time I carried a flashlight. I felt ridiculous, equipped for a hike but unprepared for what lurked beyond the tree line. The trees stood tall and thick, and the air grew tighter around me as I stepped closer. With each snap of a twig underfoot, I felt eyes on me. I tried to convince myself it was just my mind playing tricks. Yet, the further I went, the more palpable the tension became. A cold breeze swept through, carrying whispers that felt closer than they should. "Jack, come back." I spun around, half expecting to see that figure again. Nothing. Just the trees, standing silent as sentinels. I paused, trying to steady my breath and fight off the sense of foreboding. That's when I noticed something unusual, a clearing that hadn't been there before. The ground was trampled, like something had moved through here recently. A chill crept down my spine. I crept forward, keeping my flashlight steady. That's when my beam caught movement. A scrap of fabric hung from a branch, camouflage. I stepped closer, my heart racing. It looked like part of a soldier's jacket. Just as I reached out to grab it, a loud crack echoed through the trees behind me. I whipped around, heart pounding. There was that whisper again, but now it seemed almost urgent. "You shouldn't be here." Leave. Adrenaline surged. I turned and ran, the flashlight beam bouncing wildly as I navigated through the trees. I could hear footsteps behind me, closing in. My mind raced. Was it a soldier? Or something worse? I burst from the tree line into the fading light of the day, gasping for breath. I looked back, half expecting to see someone coming after me, but the woods stood still. Yet that eerie whisper echoed in my mind. Something was very wrong, and I was getting in deeper than I had bargained for. What I thought was just curiosity was pulling me into a darkness I might not escape. And as I caught my breath, I knew this was only the beginning. The next day was no better. I woke up with a lingering sense of dread, my mind spinning with images of that figure and the whispers in the woods. I tried to focus on my tasks, but my thoughts kept drifting back to what I had seen. I needed answers, but I wasn't sure how to find them. During lunch, I cornered Alex again. "We need to talk about what is happening in the woods. People have disappeared. It can't just be a coincidence." He glanced around, as if afraid someone might overhear us. "You really want to dig into this? You might not like what you find. I have to know. What do you suggest?" "You should talk to Paul. He's been stationed here the longest. He's heard more stories than anyone." I nodded, my stomach knotting at the thought. Paul was known for his strange tales. Many dismissed them as campfire stories. But I had a gut feeling he knew more than he let on. After lunch, I found Paul sitting alone on the steps of the barracks. He looked up when I approached, his expression unreadable. "What do you want?" "I need to know about Mark Thompson. And the woods. What's really out there?" Paul's gaze hardened, and he leaned closer. "You sure you want to know? Some things are better left buried." "I'm already in this deep," I said, trying to sound braver than I felt that he sighed, running a hand through his unkempt hair. "Last seen near that clearing you found. 2 nights before he vanished, he told me he heard voices calling to him. I thought he was just tired from training." Voices? My heart raced. Did he say what they were? Something about a woman or a girl. He swore it sounded like someone he knew. It hit me hard. The familiar voice from my nightmare. "And you think it's connected?" "Could be. Those woods have a way of playing tricks on you. They don't like people wandering too far." He paused, looking over my shoulder. "You shouldn't go back in there." But I had to. I was drawn to it, like a moth to a flame. As night fell, the urge to return to the woods consumed me. Equipped with my flashlight and a sense of determination, I slipped away from the barracks again. The trees loomed overhead, even darker than before. Every sound seemed intensified: the rustle of leaves, the crunch of my boots on the ground. Just a few steps in, I felt it again. That eerie whisper. "Jack, come back enough." I shouted, though my voice trembled. Silence followed, thick and suffocating. That I pressed on, the clearing growing closer. My heart thudded in my chest. As I stepped into it, my light caught something on the ground: a small, rusted dog tag. I bent to pick it up, then everything went dark, the flashlight flickered and died. Panic coursed through me. I fumbled for my backup, but my hands shook. That's when I heard it again, closer this time. "You shouldn't be here," the chilling voice echoed all around me. The shadows deepened, and I felt the air grow cold. Something was near, and I was no longer alone. I froze, my heart pounding in my ears. "Who is there?" I called out, but the voice only whispered more softly, like the wind brushing against the trees. "Jack, you're not supposed to find out." I turned, scanning the darkness for any movement. My flashlight was useless now, the glow gone as if swallowed by the night. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Suddenly, a faint glow emerged from deep within the woods. It flickered like a dying ember, beckoning me forward. Against my instincts, I stepped cautiously in its direction. With each footfall, my breath quickened. Just moments before, I had been alone, but now I felt a presence, something lurking, waiting. As I got closer to the light, I stumbled upon a clearing that was eerily familiar. It felt like I'd stepped into a dream, one I couldn't control. The glowing was coming from a pile of stones arranged in a circle at the center. They gleamed oddly in the dark, and I felt drawn to them. That's when I noticed something else. Shadows moved within the edges of the clearing, twisting into shapes that felt almost human. I squinted, trying to differentiate between actual figures and the play of light. Whispers filled the air, growing louder, more frantic. It was as if the woods themselves were alive, desperate to share their secrets. "Mark?" I whispered, instinctively calling out. I didn't know why I thought of him, but the desperation in his last moments echoed in my mind. "If you can hear me, show me how to help." The air thickened as an icy chill swept through the clearing. The whispers climaxed into a cacophony of voices, crying out from the shadows. One voice, distinct and sharp, rose above the rest. "You should have stayed away, Jack." My pulse raced. I turned to flee, but just as I did, I collided with something solid. It felt like a wall, unyielding. I stumbled backward, heart racing, and my hands flew to my face, ready to shield myself from whatever was lurking right in front of me. Then, in an instant, the shadows parted, and there she was, a girl dressed in tattered clothes, her face ghostly pale. Her eyes bore into mine with a depth of sorrow that made my gut twist. "You have to turn back. You don't belong here." I wanted to scream, to question her, but the words caught in my throat. Instead, I took a hesitant step back, torn between the impulse to run and the need to understand. "Please. What happened to Mark?" I managed to choke out. The girl's expression wavered, and I could see the pain etched in her features. "They take people, Jack. Those who listened before she could say more. The light flickered violently, and I could feel the shadows stretching toward me, hungry and dark. Panic surged through me as I bolted for the entrance of the woods. I pushed through the thick brush, not daring to look back. The whispers faded, replaced by the rushing of my own blood in my ears. I didn't stop running until I reached the barracks, breathless and shaking. But just before I reached the door, I paused. The thought struck me like lightning. What if I was just starting to uncover something far more sinister than I ever imagined? The girl's warning echoed in my mind, heavy and foreboding. Someone or something was waiting for my next move. I leaned against the barrack door, trying to catch my breath. My heart pounded as the girl's warning circled in my mind. I glanced back at the dark woods, paranoia creeping in. What if the shadows were still there, lurking? Watching, I stepped inside, slamming the door shut behind me. The familiar scent of damp wood met me, but it felt different now. The air was thick, almost electric. My eyes darted around, searching for anything that would make sense of what I'd just witnessed. Sitting on the nearby table was Mark's old journal. I hadn't thought about it since he disappeared. I picked it up, flipping through the pages filled with his neat handwriting. Most of it was mundane stuff, training notes and random thoughts. But near the back, I noticed something scrawled in frantic letters: "The woods are alive. They listen. They watch. Don't go near the stones." It sent a chill down my spine. Did Mark know? Had he encountered the same thing? I rushed through the pages, looking for something more, a clue, anything. Then, I found it. A tiny sketch of a circle of stones, detailed and eerie. I recognized it immediately as the same pile I saw in the clearing. "What are you trying to tell me, Mark?" I whispered, feeling like a fool talking to an empty room. I heard a sound behind me, faint but distinct, the soft creak of the barrack's wooden floor. I turned sharply, half expecting to see Mark standing there, but it was just the wind. I shook my head, trying to dispel the mounting dread that I thought about the girl. What had she meant when she warned me? Why was she trapped there? The air in the barrack shifted, growing heavier, as if it held its breath along with me. Then I noticed a flicker of light just beyond the window. It was faint, but it pulled at me. The glow echoed the light from the woods. I felt the same compulsion to step outside, to follow it, but I hesitated. The night was alive outside, and so were the secrets buried within it. Before I could change my mind, I found myself moving to the door again. I needed to know. I reached for the handle, and as I turned it, I caught my reflection in the glass. My eyes looked haunted, the fear palpable. "Just check it out," I muttered to myself, trying to convince my shaking hands to push the door open. I stepped out, the cool air smacking me like a splash of cold water. The flickering light shone brighter now, dancing in the distance. I felt the shadows shift behind me, whispering the same words over and over: "You shouldn't have come back." The thought screamed in my mind as I followed the light, every step dragging me deeper into whatever darkness was unfolding around me. It felt like I was moving toward a reckoning, one I couldn't escape. That's when I saw a figure approaching, silhouetted against the light. My heart dropped. Someone else was out there, and I couldn't tell if they were friend or foe. My pulse quickened, and I stepped back, unsure of what was waiting for me. The night was alive, and I was just beginning to realize how much danger I was truly in. The figure moved closer, its outline gradually becoming clearer. I strained my eyes, trying to make sense of who or what was approaching. The light flickered again, illuminating a face that was both familiar and foreign. "Is that?" I whispered, my throat dry. It looked like Rachel, a girl from the base, but something about her didn't seem right. Her eyes glowed unnaturally, reflecting the faint light as if they held too many secrets. "Get away from here!" she shouted, her voice trembling with urgency. "You shouldn't be out in the woods alone." I hesitated, torn between relief and confusion. "Rachel? What happened to you?" "Listen," she said, her voice rising, sharp and desperate. It's not safe. They're watching. The woods, the stones, they're alive. We need to. Before she could finish, the light fluctuated again, and a chill swept through the air. My skin prickled, as if I was being stroked by cold fingers. Something shifted in the tree line behind Rachel, dark shapes moving, whispers echoing through the stillness. "What's back there?" I asked, scanning the darkness. I could almost hear it, a low thrumming sound that made my bones vibrate. Her expression changed, turning to panic. "We have to go. They'll come for you next." I stepped forward, heart racing. "Wait. Who are they? What do you know about the stones?" But Rachel only shook her head, her eyes darting around as if searching for an escape. "You don't understand. Those stones, they trap souls. Mark, he wasn't just lost. He's part of them now. We have to leave before they want you to." The weight of her words sank in, icy and heavy. Mark? A part of those stones? Every instinct screamed at me to retreat, but curiosity gripped me. "What do you mean, part of them?" Suddenly, the whispers intensified, becoming a cacophony of voices that drowned out everything else. I squeezed my eyes shut, every sense alert, every heartbeat a countdown. This wasn't just a warning. It felt like a threat. "Stay behind me," Rachel urged, glancing back toward the encroaching darkness. Panic twisted my stomach. I couldn't let her out of my sight. That's when I heard it, a faint sound, but distinct. Footsteps. Heavy and deliberate, crunching through the underbrush. My heart dropped. We weren't alone. "Rachel," I managed to blurt out, panic rising in my throat. "What did you bring back with you?" The air around us changed, heavy with something sinister. The light flickered once more and then went out, plunging us into darkness. I fumbled for Rachel's hand, but she had already disappeared into the shadows. "Rachel!" I called out, dread swelling inside me. "Where are you?" Everything went silent. The only sound left was the echo of my voice fading into the night. I stood frozen, heart pounding loud enough for the forest to hear. Then I felt it, a presence, close and watching. Something was out there, and it knew I was here. I took a step back, my instincts screaming. I had to get back to the barack. I turned, sprinting into the night, but the chilling certainty settled in. I wasn't alone, and whatever was in those woods was already waiting for me. I ran, boots pounding against the forest floor, heart racing in rhythm with the rising panic that surged through me. Branches clawed at my arms as I navigated the shadowy maze, every rustle of leaves reminding me of the unseen watchers lurking just beyond my sight. My thoughts raced faster than my legs, desperate to make sense of Rachel's warning. How could Mark be part of the stones? What was so alive in these woods? Just when I thought I might burst from the oppressive darkness into safety, the ground beneath me shifted, and I stumbled, tumbling to the ground. The shock jolted me, but adrenaline pushed me fast as I picked myself up. I couldn't afford to stop, I had to get back to the barracks. Before I could regain my composure, I heard it again, the whisper, now a shrill cacophony of voices swirling around me, echoing through the trees. "Jack, don't leave us, come back." Panic set in, the memories of my time spent in this forest flooded my mind, all the voices I had heard, the shadows I had seen. The realization hit me like a punch, the danger wasn't just the supernatural. It was something more tangible, something I could feel closing in on me. I could almost picture the figures behind the trees, longing to reach out. My instincts told me to flee deeper into the base, but I fought against them, forcing myself to head toward the light of the barracks. The familiar structure loomed ahead, but it felt smaller now, dwarfed by the vastness of the trees surrounding it. As I neared, I noticed the windows were dark. Had everyone gone to sleep? Doubt snaked through me. What if they were already gone like those before them? In an urgent sulk, I reached the door and burst inside, the wood creaking heavily. I stood panting in the dimly lit room, chest heaving, scanning for any sign of life. No one moved. The silence draped over me, thick and suffocating, as the whispers still lingered at the edges of my mind, that I approached a table where I spied Mark's journal. It flicked open in my hands, desperate to find something, anything, that could help me understand. I combed through the pages, but they were only filled with mundane details of military life. As I flipped to the back, a scrap of paper fell out. My hands trembled as I picked it up. Handwritten notes rushed through with frantic urgency. They want to pull me in. I hear them, the voices are calling. If anyone reads this, don't listen. Stay away from the stones. They will know you. Leave this place. Each word throbbed in my head, intertwining with my fear. I couldn't just stand there. I had to find Rachel, had to understand what had happened to her, to Mark, to all the others claimed by these woods that I stepped out, the night air cold and invasive. The woods felt alive once more, shadows twisting at the edges of the warmth spilling from the barak door. I swallowed hard and ventured back outside, a knot of dread tightening in my gut. This time, I wouldn't run. I had to face whatever was lurking in the dark. As I moved through the trees, I felt the whispers grow fainter, as if the forest was holding its breath, anticipating my next move. I approached the clearing, the stones illuminated slightly by the thin sliver of moonlight breaking through the canopy. They appeared much as they had before, weathered and omniscient, yet now I felt an undeniable urgency to touch them, to uncover their secret. Just as I reached the edge of the circle, two figures emerged from the shadows. The breath caught in my throat as I recognized Rachel, the same haunted expression in her eyes. Beside her stood another, a soldier I'd never seen before, his face bearing equal dread. You came back, Rachel breathed, a mix of relief and horror. You can't. The soldier raised a hand, eyes wide. You shouldn't have come back, Jack. It's too late. They're beckoning you. I felt a chill sweep around me as the stones pulsed faintly, their surface shimmering in response to my presence. What do we do? I demanded, the urgency spilling out of me. How do we stop this? But before they could respond, a loud crack echoed through the trees, and I felt the air shift. Leave while you can, the soldier pleaded, panic rising in his voice. You can't fight them. We have to hide. They turned to flee and I followed, running blindly through the trees, glancing back at the clearing where the stones pulsed ominously. Ahead, something stirred in the darkness, a figure materializing slowly, the familiar outline casting a heavy gloom. Join us, it whispered, a collective gasp echoing in my mind. Mark Thompson. The presence was overwhelming, pulling me toward it. My heart thudded painfully as I fought against the very air pulling at my limbs. I screamed, no. Pushing against the force, desperate to break free. Just then, I tripped over a root, falling to the forest floor. Chains of whispers constricted around me as darkness crept in. I was forced to look up. The shadows loomed ever closer, shadows that could almost manifest into something too horrifying to comprehend, but as they closed in, a voice surged from deeper within me, more powerful than the lure of darkness. I'm not going to be part of this. I shouted, my voice breaking through the whispers just long enough for Rachel to grab my hand. Together, we pulled back from the approaching shadows, abandoning the pull of the unseen forces binding us. With fear electrifying every nerve, we ran, bursting back into where I thought safety waited. The barracks came into view, and we rushed through the door, shutting the world out behind us. I leaned heavily against the door, breathing hard, my heart racing louder than ever. The oppressive weight of the forest still hung around us, but for now, I was safe. Jack, Rachel said, her voice trembling. We can't stay here. It's still waiting. I stared into the darkened room, anxiety clawing at my throat. I was shaken but grateful to be alive. Yet, as I looked back at her, I saw the look of something deeper, almost hopelessness reflected in her eyes. What had we tapped into? What were we really trying to escape? And there, in the suffocating silence that followed, something deep inside me realized that while we had escaped the woods for now, they would never truly let us go. The questions lingered, dancing on the edge of my consciousness, wrapped in shadows that would haunt my days and nights to come.